If you've ever wondered about your nervous system and if it's dysregulated, if you need support, then this video is going to clarify all of that for you because I'm going to go through the top 10 signs that indicate your nervous system is dysregulated and that you need support ASAP. Because the sooner you get support with your nervous system state, the sooner you'll be regulated, and the sooner you'll be regulated, the better that your life will feel. Because truly, your nervous system is the command center of everything in your life. And when you show up regulated, it's going to have a beautiful positive impact on everything else. And I just want you to feel how beautiful life starts to feel when you enter this regulated state because it truly does get so much better. Okay. Take it from someone who was so dysregulated and is now living life from a much more regulated place. If you're new to this channel, my name is Dr. Bisley Natalie. I'm a naturopathic doctor and I teach people how to reset and regulate their nervous system. And I am obsessed with this stuff. And so with that being said, today's video is going to be quick and dirty, so let's get into the signs. If you see me looking down, I got my handy dandy laptop here. I've been thinking about doing scripts for videos, but honestly, I just like to have points and talk instead. I just feel like it's more natural, because we're all friends here. Sign number one is that you feel jumpy or startled easily. I used to feel so jumpy and startled. Like I could be easily startled over like anything. Someone would just like slam the door and I'll be like, ah, and just like scream out. And it's like my nervous system was just always on edge, just like ready and bracing and on high alert. And when you're on high alert, any little thing that seems like it's dangerous, your nervous system is just going to be like, ah, right? So like someone slamming the door, a loud noise, nervous system is like, oh my God, ah, we're dying, even though you're not. So this is like a huge sign to watch out for if you feel like you're just constantly jumpy to everything and it's just like, oh my God, why can't I relax, right? It literally starts to feel like you're in a horror movie at all times because you're just like bracing for that next thing to come up. Your nervous system definitely needs support. Number two, this is similar, but it's a little bit different, is that you're constantly on edge or just tense, right? You can just feel your body is just so tight all the time. Everything just feels like it's like tight and sore. And you can really just feel that tenseness in your body, or you just constantly feel like you're on edge. Sign number three is that your mind does not slow down. This is a huge one. It's like no matter what you do, your mind is constantly on, it's constantly racing. You're just always overthinking. I find that those of us who struggle with a dysregulated nervous system, like we avoid silence like the plague, because as soon as we are silent or bored for like 2 seconds, we start to experience all these thoughts and emotions in our mind, and we just don't like to do that. We don't like to experience all those thoughts and emotions that our mind has. And I get you. That used to be me. I hated silence. I constantly needed to be watching something, listening to something, talking to someone. And if I felt like I wasn't always doing something, then that meant I had to face the thoughts in my head. And I just didn't want to because my mind was just always on, always racing. And it just felt scary to face all those thoughts. And the worst part was like, I just didn't even know what to do. Like, what am I supposed to do with all these thoughts racing in my mind, right? Like, how am I supposed to deal with all this stuff? And yes, I was going to therapy and it helped a little bit, but it's just like I did everything in my power to avoid being alone with my mind. And the early mornings, late nights were the worst, right? Not even late night, just as soon as it got dark, and then the mornings were always the worst times for me because I feel like that's when we're forced to face these thoughts the most. So if you feel like your mind will not slow down, it's probably a big sign that your nervous system needs support. The next sign, you overthink even the smallest decisions. I think this one is the most exhausting because you just can never make a choice because you're always thinking about the different scenarios and situations and you feel like you need more information and you just never feel confident in yourself to make any choice, even the smallest choices. I remember like going to a restaurant and I would not even be able to pick the food that I wanted to eat. And I would have to have someone else pick the food for me instead because I just couldn't. I would just overthink so much about the food choices and what's available and what's not, and just constantly worried about making the wrong decision. When our nervous system is stuck in hyperdrive, we lose a lot of trust with ourselves. We lose trust with our mind, our body, and because we have lost this trust with ourselves, because we're constantly in that stress state, we're not able to make good decisions, or at least we're not able to trust ourselves with our decisions. So instead of making a decision, we just constantly keep ourselves in the overthinking place because we can't trust ourselves to make the right decision for ourselves. And I think that's been one of the most healing things about nervous system regulation work for me, is the more that I started to support my nervous system, the more that I started to trust myself. And then the more that I started to trust myself, the better the decisions I was able to make for myself and make for myself unapologetically and confidently, knowing that I'm going to be able to figure this out if it's the wrong decision. And if it's the right decision, great, that's amazing. Next sign is that you feel overwhelmed easily. And what you might have even noticed is that the stuff that you could handle a few years ago, you just feel like you can't handle it anymore. It just feels like every little thing on your to do list, on your plate, just feels like so much. And if anybody's going to add one more thing to your list, you are going to punch someone in the face. All right. I have been there, done that. I know what it feels like to be living in those overwhelmed state where there's just so much going on. And depending on how many responsibilities you have in your life, right? Like you might have a job, you might have kids, you're in a relationship, you have parents. Like there's so many different things that can be going on. But what I want you to remember is that you're so strong and your nervous system is so strong. And when you learn to regulate and support yourself on a daily basis, your capacity to handle stressors increases. And you start to show up in your life as someone who feels like they are powerful, as someone who feels like they can actually do these day to day things that once used to stress them out and feel like they can move through their day in a really powerful, incredible way. Okay, so if you feel overwhelmed, that's okay. Don't forget how strong and incredible your nervous system is. And the more that you support and regulating it, the more that you're going to increase your capacity to be able to handle these stressors on a day to day basis. Next sign, this is a really big one, is you feel exhausted but wired. The tired but wired. Tired but wired combination. It is a weird one, but I have patients who experience it all the time in my practice. I hear that all the time, right? By the end of the day, I feel so physically exhausted, but my mind is always on. And when your mind's always on, it's so difficult for you to be able to fall asleep. And again, this is because you are chronically stuck in that stress state. It's like your body is expressing to you, we are so tired, so exhausted, but it's like not registering to your mind. And you know why? It's because your mind body connection is totally and completely disrupted. You spend so much of your time in your mind because you're so stressed out and so overwhelmed that it's hard for your mind to register your body's cues, and it's so much easier to ignore them and you just keep yourself in that stress state instead. Next sign, I know you're going to relate to this one especially. So you struggle to relax even in your downtime. And the reason for that is when we are chronically stuck in a dysregulated, stressed out nervous system state, your nervous system gets addicted to it. It starts to become its new normal. And so when you try to give yourself moments to rest and relax, it's like your nervous system is like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing? Who do you think you are? You don't believe you deserve rest. You don't believe you deserve to relax. So let's get ourselves back in the stress state for absolutely no reason. So, this is when you'll find yourself overthinking every little thing. You'll start thinking about things that you did in grade two, even though they don't even matter now as an adult. And this is because your nervous system is so used to being chronically dysregulated and it wants to keep itself in that state. It literally becomes this like addictive cycle. So, that doesn't mean you should not give yourself time to relax. Instead, it means you probably need to give yourself more time to relax and sit and unwind because the more that you practice it, the more that your nervous system senses this as safe. And that's all we are doing here. We're reteaching your nervous system that having downtime, that having time to rest and relax is okay. The next sign is that you feel irritable or emotionally reactive. It just seems like every little thing is just like setting you off. This is probably the number one sign that tells me my nervous system is dysregulated because I could be completely calm and then something small happens and I'm just like, just turn into a monster. I'm just like, whoa, I haven't done something to support my nervous system all day long and I need to like clock myself, as they say it, and really check myself and make sure I do something to support myself right now. So, this is a really big telltale sign, right? If you're just constantly emotionally reactive, it's because you're in that stress state all the time. Your nervous system is stuck in this hyper vigilant state, and any little thing can just set you off like a little firecracker. The next sign is that you struggle with sleep or you wake up feeling unrefreshed. What a lot of us don't realize is that we need to be in the calm nervous system state in order for our body to get a good night's sleep. If you are in the stress state before bed, your body's getting the signal that we need to stay awake. Like we don't feel safe, we need to stay awake. And so when your body is in that state, it's not going to produce as much melatonin. And also, you are not going to be able to get into a deep, restful state of sleep. Instead, what's going to happen is that you're going to be a light sleeper. And I have been the lightest sleeper most of my life. And if someone snores beside me, I will still not be able to sleep. I just can't stand snoring. Just can't. I really wish I could be one of those deep sleepers that could like sleep through an earthquake. But my sleep has radically improved since I've started to work on my nervous system state. Like I'm able to get into much deeper states of sleep. but snoring will always wake me up, unfortunately. And so, if you're really struggling with your sleep, something you should really look into is supporting your nervous system state. And honestly, I'm gonna make a whole other video on supporting your nervous system state for a healthy, good night's sleep because it's a really honestly big underrated area that people don't look at enough. The last sign here is that you are constantly in the on state and you don't know how to switch off. So, what I'm talking about here is you're constantly in that stressed out state and you can't switch into the calm state. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've had those moments. You've had those moments of feeling at bliss, at peace. And you think about those moments, but for some reason, you just can't get yourself there right now. And oftentimes, when we are so chronically dysregulated, we really need things outside of us like supplements or doing, some like really hot bath or something outside of us that really helps us to switch that state so that we can turn off because oftentimes trying to do it on our own can take a really long time. Like I'm talking about, you need to meditate for like an hour to get yourself into that state. But the good thing here is that the more that you practice trying to turn off, the easier and easier and easier it gets. Before it used to take me like 20, 25 minutes of meditation to turn on my parasympathetic state. And now I can sit and breathe for like take 10 deep breaths and I notice that switch happening right away and I can turn myself off. So all it is a practice at the end of the day. So if you watch this video and you're just like, oh my God, I can literally relate to all or most of these signs, or if you can just relate to some of them, I want to welcome you to join my 30-day nervous system reset. So this is where you're going to get an email from me every single day that's going to give you a strategy to reset and support your nervous system. And so we start January 30th. You can use the link in my bio to sign up and it's completely free. I really hope that this video was helpful and it answered some of the confusion you might have around if your nervous system is dysregulated or not. The one thing that I always want you to remember is that this is something you can support. If you feel like your nervous system is completely fried, that is okay. You can reset it and it doesn't have to be as hard as you think it is. So don't lose the hope. And the best thing that you can do is pick a few strategies and stick with them and be consistent. And if you do want that personalized one-on-one support, I'm here to help. But definitely join my 30-day nervous system reset. It's going to be amazing and it's going to be such a beautiful starting point for you to heal your nervous system.